Hey guys, welcome to book review number 83, I believe. Today I'm going to be reviewing Moron to Moron, 2 Men, 2 Bikes, 1 Mongolian Misadventure by Tom Doig. Now this book is about a couple of New Zealanders that decide to go on a bike ride. Sorry for the car traffic in the background. They decide to go on a off-road bicycle adventure through Mongolia. And the reason the book is called Moron to Moron is it actually goes from 2 different towns on not really opposite sides, but fairly far distance away in Mongolia, both named Moron. Moron in Mongolian meaning river. So essentially it means river to river, but of course the pawn is that, there are 2 morons, they're going from moron to moron, etc., etc., etc. And that kind of sets the feel of the book. It's really not what I would call a highbrow book, but in classic kind of, Australian, New Zealander ways, it's pretty romping, outrageous, good fun, a lot of cursing, a lot of dick jokes, Lonely Planet references, Flight of the Conchord references, but at the same time, I will also say it covers pretty extensively, I wouldn't say extensively, but it gets into the history of Mongolia, talks about what dicks the Soviets were to the Mongolians, talks about what dicks the Chinese have been to the Mongolians. Gotta watch out for any kids around here, I'm in a public park. Talks about some of the monasteries and stuff. One of the big things that they do that's sort of a cultural thing, I'm also eating breakfast, you guys. We're going to go to the Nadam Festival, which is bike tour obviously takes place in the summertime. Mongolia, 8 months out of the year being below freezing and just inhospitable to even the idea of bike riding across the country. So yeah, this is obviously in the summertime. And obviously in the summertime is when the all these towns are going to have their big festivals. And the 3 big kind of sporting events that happen at these festivals is archery, horseback riding, and kind of a Mongolian wrestling, halfway between like a wrestling and say like a sumo, which is Nadam, I believe. But anyway, they wind up wanting to compete in one of the early competitions. This is the beginning of their bike ride. But wind up wrestling a drunk Mongolian in an unauthorized match that's basically on the outskirts. Basically, backyard wrestling is pretty much what backyard wrestling Mongolian style is, the impression that I got. Other than that, they really, if I were to have a criticism, maybe Tom Doig focuses a little bit too much on how he feels as he bike rides. I should say he also does this with his friend Tama, which is short for some name which I don't have here. Damn it, I should have researched this ahead of time, but I didn't. Tama Pugsley, yeah, that's it. Tama Pugsley and Tom Doig. Tama being from New Zealand, so he's got the same sort of mentality, but kind of the playboy New Zealander, always in shape, has moved to the United States, constantly talking about his supermodel wife, constantly, working out deals, but at the same time, maybe a little bit up his own butt, but not nearly to the maximum degree. So yeah, Tom and Doig focus a lot on how they feel, just how impossible it is, and I'm sure it was impossible to bike across Mongolia. They decided to take a lot of detours. They call it New Zealand shortcuts, which wound up being longer than if they had originally taken the roads to begin with. I think of the 5 shortcuts they took, maybe like one of them wound up actually being a shortcut. What else? It's a good book. Talk about goats on a boat. They have a lot of problems crossing rivers. I will say, like, a lot of it is seems to be just kind of the random people they meet through Mongolia. This is definitely, in the travel book reviews that I've done, something that I've noticed is that the books that focus more on like famous historical sites or historical events tend to be a little bit more well structured, but maybe you lose a little bit of the feel of everyday life. Now, for the most part, everyday life for Tom and Tama involves seeing nobody, considering Mongolian is so open. But what was really cool is that they would see no one for miles and miles and miles, and then they would just like run into some random Mongolians that would be hospitable to them, to the point that let's say they wanted to sleep in their tent, or they had like because they mostly slept in their tent, and there's reasons not to sleep in the Mongolian gurs, or kind of like the nomad tents, primarily is that they're smelly, but it would be almost impossible to explain to the Mongolians how to turn down hospitality. This being a nomad culture, you almost see no one when you're out being a nomad. So the idea of turning down hospitality is almost an impossibility. I should also mention that almost all of the land in Mongolia is publicly held, just kind of grassland or some forest and mountain, but definitely like large agricultural fields. There are a few, but they're definitely the exception to the norm rather than the norm. And actually, one of the things that Tom notices is that during the Soviet times, there used to be larger agricultural fields, but a lot of them have gone fallow. And what has overtaken the crop of wheat are large ganja fields or marijuana fields. So Tom, being this kind of a backpacker book, Lonely Planet type book, of course he picks some weed up along the way to smoke. Let's see, what else? He talks about how they have like one highway that's even paved in the entire country. Almost all of this, as you can see on the front cover, is not done on paved roads. It's done on paths, vaguely. Really, I don't know how their ass didn't hurt to know tomorrow. Just thinking, it's a couple of dudes riding bikes through Mongolia and their ass is hurting. What does that imply? But yeah, it was the distance biked was pretty far. I think it was like 1,300 kilometers across, you know, really rocky and dirt tracks, stuff like that. So yeah, I'd definitely say a rompin'. I feel like my review has not been like had enough curse words or say how awesome things are, or say, well, that's awesome, mate. I don't know, that's terrible. But yeah, it's an adventure. It's bombastic. It's out there. It's nose to the grindstone with how much they just push and push and push and push through their tough journey. It's very boisterous. It's very go get 'em. I don't know. I'm trying to think of this. There's one adjective I'm trying to think of, but I can't think of it. But anyway, yeah, it's a very good book. Moron to Moron. I'm rambling. This book rambled in the middle a little bit, so maybe my review deserves to ramble some. But yeah, Moron to Moron. The idea of, why didn't they just take horses? Or even yet better, four-wheel drive vehicles? But they biked it because they're morons. Moron to Moron. 2 men, 2 bikes, 1 Mongolian Misadventure by Tom Doig. All right, thanks you guys. See you next time.